Ladies and gentlemen, brothers and sisters, children of all ages, it's time for a little impromptu live evening show. Are you ready? Get your cocktails ready. We'll get going in about, well, we'll get going right about now. Ladies and gentlemen, brothers and sisters, I'm the Old Humble Guy. We're here, a little after hours bottling party going to be going on. You got my bottler over here over my right shoulder. Got my table over here past my left shoulder. Tomorrow is Sunday. Monday, I get on a plane and leave for Tulsa, Oklahoma, to go to a startup accelerator and be on a reality TV show. So I've got to get a little bit of a product put together so that my distributor can come and pick it up while I'm on the road. That'll be good for everybody. Checking audio levels. It sounds good on my phone. Okay, I'm going to go grab my charger and plug it in. Go back to the opening scene. I'll be right back. As I walk through the distillery to the other room where I've got my stuff. Now I have a phone charger. Do. Thank you, everybody. That was a song that nobody wrote, nobody asked to hear, but I gave it to you anyway. Take that. All right, ladies and gentlemen, let's go to the boom. Here we are. That's me. This is my phone. All right, so here's the plan. I've got these bottles that need to get bottled up. You're going to be on that screen. I'm going to bottle up here. Can you see that fine? Do I need to turn the camera a little bit? Yeah, I need to turn it just a little bit. There we go. I'm going to bottle up here. Well, you'll see how it goes. Anyway, 2025 has already started. Here we go. Look at that. Ain't it beautiful? Ain't it beautiful? Ain't it grand? Ain't it lovely? All right, everything's looking good. I need to have the chat open so I can see what's happening. Where's chat? There it is. Okay, chat is open so I can see what's going on. All right, so sometimes the bottles get a little bit full. It's a little bit more full than I want it to be. I just drop it back in there. And if I drop too much, I balance them out a little bit. We're balanced. They go to the table. We're balanced. We go to the table. So this is the corking table. This is the filling table. I want to have about a dozen cases ready for my guy. So I've got 28 bottles already here on the table, which is just over one case. I want to have 8 cases. 8 cases. So I've got 12 sets of 8. I might do 10 cases just because I'm an overachiever. But what I've been doing the giveaways on the channel. I think I'm going to do another giveaway tonight if we get. I'm not going to have a way of tracking it though. Yeah, I do have a way of tracking it. Who am I, crazy? Okay, if we get super chats in the amount of. Let's see here. Last time it was $25 in super chats, I think. If I did 25 in super chats, I gave away a T-shirt, right? Or was it 40? I can't remember. T-shirt goes 20. If we get $40 in giveaway, if we get $40 in super chats, let me put this up on the on my screen here. If we do $40 in super chats, oh, I can do like the goal thing, can't I? Oh, we'll do that now. Start a goal, pick a goal. Here we go. We get if we get, yeah, 10 super chats that are, we're not going to go 10, we're going to go 2. $2 or higher. What did I say, $40? So we'll do 15 super chats. 15 super chats at $2 or higher in, let's see, I'll probably be for 2 hours. Let's go 2 hours. I will give away an Old Humble t-shirt. Yay! All right. Boom. Do I hit send? What do I do? How do I start it? Oh, there it is. I hit the button that says start goal. Duh. Okay, so there's the goal. The goal is set. The goal is set. I am here to answer any and all questions you have related to whiskey making, the whiskey process, our distillery, who I am, what I do, et cetera, et cetera. I'm here for you guys. Our year, LA is burning. The year has already gotten off to a crazy start. Our Texans are in the playoffs. The Houston Texans are in the playoffs. How crazy is that? This is going slow, slower than it usually goes. But the goal is to have 8. So I should have 12 rows of bottles when I'm done. Let's get this going. I don't even know what to talk about, man. So many things to discuss. We could discuss why what a disaster the Beauty and the Beast kingdom is. That's something that's been on my mind lately. Like, there's a lot of ink that's been shed about how that town, that little kingdom, is in some kind of time stasis bubble, right? But I mean, think about how horrible it's going to be when these townspeople come out of their little time stasis, and here's why we think it's a time stasis. And Belle is not actually from the town. Like, everything is backwards in that town. Intellect is mocked. The inventor dad is kind of a crazy person, blowing crap up all the time. But here's the thing. Like, they don't even remember their king, right? They had a prince ruling their little kingdom, or their little principality, their little duchy, whatever you call it. They had their little prince running the joint, and they just, forgot he existed, right? Is that how it goes? Like, there's just a beast in the castle, and they just forgot that they had a king at one point? Or Prince Andrew, whatever his name was. Was it Andrew? I don't even remember. Because they don't seem to remember that at one point we had a prince. And they've created this egalitarian society. They are not paying taxes to the crown. You would think that if they were not in a time stasis bubble, that the actual king would come and see why they've stopped paying taxes and put them under his dominion, right? Like, the prince just dipped. There's a monster living in the castle. So, like, the king would come and take over that whole place, right? You would think that's how it should go. I mean, if I were the king, if I were the king of the world, that's a song, right? If I were the king of the world, I'd be something of the thing. Anyway, you would think if taxes stopped, then the king would come and do something about that. But apparently, no, that wasn't a deal. So they've got to be in some kind of stasis, right? like the curse cursed the town, or cursed the prince, but also cursed the town to like live in this like little time loop where everything is the same every day forever, right? That's what it seems like it ought to be. That's what it seems. So that said, what happens when the curse is broken? If they are in a time stasis loop, when the curse is broken, does everybody suddenly go back in time? Like flip back? What happens to Belle? She wasn't part of this time stasis loop. She just entered into the city. Apparently, she and her dad entered in from the outside because she doesn't seem to be a part of this time stasis. She's the new girl who knows how to read. We should burn her at the stake because she knows how to read. Weirdos. Intellect is hated. Or do the townspeople snap forward in a completely unexpected and unanticipated way? I don't know. I don't know how this shit works. I really don't. So I are confused. But anyway, whether they snap forward or back, it doesn't really matter because they built themselves a little town, tax-free haven in whatever world they live in, where they're not paying taxes to a royal elite. They're just living their goddamn lives like people, unencumbered. And yeah, they're kind of shitty human beings, apparently. But also, they're just free. They're living free. They're living freemen, doing their thing. And this king, prince, is going to come back into their world. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Odd number? This king is going to come back into their world and go, hey, remember me? It's me, your prince. Hey. I don't know why he's Italian all of a sudden. But, badly Italian. Maybe he is. What's it to you? Racist. But he's just going to come back in and say, oh, yeah, by the way, all the stuff you've been doing all these years, we're not going to be doing that anymore because now I'm your prince again. And I owe a bunch of taxes to the king because apparently y'all weren't paying the taxes. And I've got a bunch of past due invoices here on my prince desk. So I'm going to collect taxes now. Get to paying taxes, peasants. Because they're peasants. The townspeople, they're peasants. So, what happens then? I mean, I feel fairly certain that the king is going to, or the new prince, the former beast, is going to die within a matter of days of this curse being lifted. I have a fairly good, I feel like he's going to die. 84 is 7 cases. 64, how many cases is that? 64 is not 8 cases. 8 cases would be 96. That's 8, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, 35, 36, 37, 38, 39, 40, 41, 42, 43, 44, 45, 46, 47, 48, 49, 50, 1, 2, 3, 54, 55, 56, 57, 58, 59, 60, 61, 62, 63, 64. My light just went out. Huh. Look at my armpit. Huh. I think the light helps, actually. So 64 is 8 sets of 8, but in order to have 8 cases, I need 12 sets of 8. So I need 96, right? So I need 32 more, which is 8 more rows of 4. 1, because 8 times 4 is 32. 9 times 4 is 36. This is 2. 1, 2. 3. Let me send a text real quick. I'll set up 8. I may set up 10. I'll set up 10. We'll do 10 cases. We'll do 10 cases. So I need 8 more of these plus 3 more to get to 10. 3, 4. So 8 of these is going to be 32 bottles. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 6. And the goal presently, 7, is to get them filled, corked, sealed, and labeled. That's the goal for tonight. Get them all like set up and lined up. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 3 more. That will give me 10 full cases. And actually, I think I have a case right here already. Nope, that's an empty box. I have a case right here. Yeah, so I don't need that. Well, that'll be 11. 11's better than 10. I'll have 11 for him. That'd be fine. I'll sell them. I ain't worried about it. That's 2. And now 1 more. This is it. That would be my 11th case. 1, 2, 3, 4. All right. So anyway, yeah, I'm pretty sure the prince from Beauty and the Beast is going to get completely and totally murdered by the townspeople. As soon as he starts to do his prince shit, and the townspeople are like, nah, it's not how it goes anymore, Bubby. Bubby? Is Bubby a proper way to address a prince, a man prince? Or is that just purely for a Jewish grandmother? Oh, Bubby. Or is it the way Jewish grandmothers address children? I'm not sure. I'm not versed in cultures that aren't mine. Not familiar. Anyway, enough of that. Superman versus Batman is a stupid question. Buddy of mine posted that on his Facebook page. He's like, who would be a bigger villain, a greater villain? And I'm like, well, my thought, here you go. Batman already is kind of a villain. He's not really a like almost all the woes that Batman is fighting against could be solved within 3 or 4 years if that dude just started paying his damn taxes. Right? If they taxed Wayne Corp and had a progressive income tax in Gotham so that one man could not confiscate billions of dollars of earnings from his corporation. And they had health care, universalized health care, universalized child care, public transportation, wages, fair wages up and down the ledger, so that not one person wasn't making all of the gains from his company, from the one company in Gotham. An actual middle class, that sort of thing. Then almost all the woes in Gotham, he wouldn't have to be fighting against them. It wouldn't be organized crime. There wouldn't be, there'd be very little petty thievery, not so much petty thievery that the police couldn't handle it. Because, when poverty goes away, crime goes away. Those two are linked inextricably. You end up with a more egalitarian structure of your population, all that. But meanwhile, Superman is an alien god. He is indestructible. He can fly. He is impervious to human weapons. The only thing that can kill him is some kind of kryptonite-based blade that you have to get close enough to him to stab him. So really the only thing that can kill Superman is gullibility and trust. Because if he doesn't ever let you get close to him, you can't ever stab him. What are you going to do? Make kryptonite-based bullets and shoot him with your little kryptonite? He's faster than a speeding bullet. You can't shoot him with a kryptonite bullet. That's like part of his thing. I'm faster than a speeding bullet. Able to leap tall buildings in a single bound. Yeah, early versions of Superman couldn't fly. He leapt. He jumped. But they did away with that crap because it was hard to work it into stories. True story. That's why Superman flies. It was just easier to get him from one place to another if he flew. Anyway, the only thing that can kill Superman isn't kryptonite, it's gullibility. You got to be able to get close enough to poke him with kryptonite, or into a room with kryptonite, or something with kryptonite. He's faster than a speeding bullet. You can't shoot him. You're not going to hit him with a hypersonic missile of kryptonite gas or whatever. He's Superman. He is an impervious alien god creature that will almost certainly fuck your mom. Ah! Did he say that? He did. Yeah, it's easier if I don't have to monologue, just so you know. But that's the other thing. If he's here long enough, he's going to have a race of super babies. You're looking at a Homelander situation where there's just a race of Superman babies taking over the world. Superman, super baby, world domination, 2028 or whatever. I'll probably be back tomorrow to box everything up, but I'm not going to do that on camera. I might do that tonight. We'll see. But I do have dinner to eat tonight. It's very disorienting to have it get dark at 6 o'clock. Because, I'm looking outside, and it's dark, and I'm thinking to myself, it's late. I can do my show. And then I realize it's like dinner time, and I need to go home. But this is a special night because it's one of my last nights, and I have to get this done so that I can have the whiskey sitting there by the door so that when my distributor comes on Tuesday or Wednesday, It'll be there. All he needs to do is show up, load it up, leave the info, and he's out the dough. Put down your deets, homie. Anyway, Superman, back to what I was talking about. Superman being an impervious god person, he's not human, he's an alien, humanoid. If humans got a little squirrely, if we decided to get a little froggy on him, if we were like, you know what? We're going to build a super army and try and fight Superman. It would take him roughly 1 hour to fly around the world, destroy every single power plant that exists. Just fly through them. Destroy every single power plant on Earth. And plunge humanity back into the Dark Ages. Think Batman can do that? The answer is no. Batman cannot do that. Batman is incapable of doing that. Batman could only buy new power plants. And it would take years for the power plants to come back online. And he's not parting with his money unless he's trying to buy gadgets. Also, he embezzles money from his company. When he buys his little Batman gadgets and puts them in R&D to hide them, that's embezzlement. That's a crime. But it's, okay for him to do it, not for anybody else. He would beat him up for being a criminal. True. True story. 2 more. 8 more to go. 2 more runs. So this goes almost 27 seconds to make 4 bottles of whiskey. So how long does it take to make a bottle of whiskey? 27 seconds. Or 1/4 of 27 seconds, I guess, because you make 4 at a time. One more run of 4. I wish I didn't have to. I wish I had a little bit better bottling system. But, I mean, this does fine for what it is. I just wish I had a little bit better system. Don't you like that with Spec? Well, ASMR for you. So Superman's a chump. Well, Batman's a chump. Superman is a potential alien overlord. Batman's also a financial criminal who steals money from his own company. Like, that's not cool. That's not okay. Being an embezzler of funds is not okay. That's a real crime. And could get you many years in jail if you had a publicly traded corporation and you were embezzling money from it. I mean, I guess technically, as chairman and CEO and whatnot, you could be like, this is just part of my pay package. And you can retcon that shit. I mean, I know my investors, if I was like, I'm going to use company money to buy a car, my investors would be all like, no, the hell you are. Now, I could say, it's a company car, and I'm going to use the company car because da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da. They won't like it. So I wouldn't do it. They would much rather me take that money and build the business with it, as I should. But I know for sure if I was like, I'm going to take company money and become Batman, my investor would be all like, the hell you are? That is not the scale and scope of the Old Humble Distilling Company, homeboy. Homeboy. What is that? What's going on here? Okay. Now this is the part that I hate the most, or like the least. Putting these stupid little condoms on each one of these bottles. And I only have about 8 cases, not more than I usually do, because I usually do about 5. But I did some tastings this week, sold out a couple of stores. I have some tastings not this coming week, but the week following. And I know for sure the mothership at Specs, the downtown store, ordered a case that did not get put into a purchase order and sent to me because they said they did. So I know at least 2 stores that are ordering at least a case each. Which sucks royally. Because I could have popped out those 2 cases earlier this week and made sure that those stores had them. But no, they didn't come and ask, so I didn't get it done. There's also the part where I have to kind of concentrate so that I make sure I don't skip a bottle. So I talk a little bit less, which is probably good. More you, less me. Maybe I should put on some background music. I got a Pandora for Business account. Costs about $1 a day. But I don't have any ads. And I get a SoundCloud, not SoundCloud, Cloud Box to play the music from. So I could basically set a channel, turn it on, and walk away. I can do it remotely from my phone. I can do it from the app on the TV. Is the Texans game over yet? Hang on, I'm going to check something real quick. I'm going to see what the score is in my Texans game. What my wife said she's making TAIS. Telling her I'm bottling whiskey. Okay. Where was I? See, it's dark and these are clear, so it's really hard to see what exactly. I really need to pay attention is what I'm saying. Some of these bottles are dusty. I don't like that. But I am placing an order for new bottles, which is cool. We got a whole bunch of new stuff coming in at the beginning of the year. I've got I'm ordering some of my barrels from the warehouse to come in. I'm ordering in some bottles. I'm going to have to get some new corks soon. I'm running low on these. I'm going to be running low on these. Over the course of this next week, I'm really going to sit down and flesh out my goals for the year and make sure I'm getting the equipment that I need, the parts and supply, rather, that I need. God, I have a blistering headache. The parts and supply that I need for the rest of the year. So I'm set up, and I don't have to worry about chasing down. What is it? What is TAIS? I love my wife, but sometimes deciphering what nonsense she's saying to me is hard. I think she might have meant tacos. But what she wrote was TAIS. Okay, now for the next part. This is the other part that takes a dumb amount of time. This part takes about as much time as all the other parts put together. Tacos. Okay. Texans apparently won, which is good. I'm okay with that. I'm very happy with that. I like it when my Texans win. That makes me joyful. I think I paid him $15 an hour. Ow. Because I'm picky. Picky. All right. Try and be a little more photogenic so you can kind of see most of my face. How's that? That's probably worse, right? You don't want to see my face, do you? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We'll do 6 in a row. I am watching chat. If y'all have questions, you want to talk about something, you have a topic you want to bring up, drop it down. And an off topic, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, which I don't guess there is any such thing as off topic because there's not really a topic for tonight. It's just me being nonsense here. I am very hopeful that we do manage to buy Canada is part of a greater American federation. Oh, Old Humble guy, that's dumb. Yeah, I know. But check this out. If we get Canada, they're not going to put up with guns on the streets in Canada all over the place all the time. They have gun laws there. They're not going to put up with those gun laws being repealed. They have health care. They're not going to put up with public health care being stripped away from them. Acquiring Greenland and Canada might be the back door into getting like good governance, the things that we've all wanted that they refuse to give us. A progressive tax that actually taxes billionaires and corporations, and forces corporations to pay their employees a fair wage. Union protections, worker protections. It may be biting off a little bit more than these people can chew, bringing in a bunch of provinces and states and from foreign countries that actually have good governance, or at least better governance than we've been getting for the last 50 years. Oh, my neck, my head. Well, I had a bandana at one point. Did I take it off and leave it at the house? I'm asking y'all like y'all have any idea. Did I leave my bandana at the house? I don't know. I don't know where I leave stuff. I'm pretty sure I did. Here's the thing that always annoyed me when I worked in an office. Having to dress up like a Texan. Having Go Texan days, rodeo days, having to dress up like a Texan. Like, how the hell am I supposed to dress up like a Texan? Is this not Texan enough? Am I not a fucking Texan? When I just put on my clothes, I have to put on some stupid costume for the school administrators and my manager to look at. Put on some stupid dress like an Astros fan. Show your team spirit and dress like an Astros fan. Put on your team Astros wear. No. I don't want to wear an Astros shirt if I don't have to. Well, I do want to wear one if I don't have to. And if I have to, I certainly don't want to wear one. Like wearing a goddamn costume is going to help the team win. Like, come on. They don't even know. They don't care. If they can't play well when I don't wear a jersey to the office, they're not going to be able to play well when I do wear a jersey to the office. Because me wearing a jersey has absolutely no cosmic connection whatsoever to these people's performance on the football field or basketball court or baseball diamond. They don't even know who I am. Never once has a player, although this would be funny, never once has a player gone to the post-game conference and been all like, yeah, we would have had a really good game today, but I just wasn't completely on my game. I wasn't completely in the moment because Mike didn't wear his jersey to the office at 4322 Fondren. He just didn't show enough spirit. So ultimately, we fell short of the Browns on the field. But maybe next time Mike will get with the agenda and wear his jersey on Spirit Day and not cause us to lose the game. They also don't ever blame God when they lose. They only blame God when they win. I like to give all the credit to God for our victory, but you never see him come out and say, you know what, we lost. And that's because God didn't want us to win. And if God doesn't want you to win, what you going to do? You just got to go out and do the best you can. He's clearly a Cardinals fan. Although I would like to see a player come out and do that just once, because I think it would be hilarious. Yeah, you know, sometimes God just doesn't want you to win. He was with the other team today. That would be funny. That would make me laugh. I'd like to give all credit to my Lord and Savior. He was just a Cardinals fan today. If it weren't for God, we would have won. Or come out instead of praising God for winning the game. He comes out and says, "Oh yeah, God really smote the hell out of the other guys when he caused that quarterback's knee to just buckle during that snap during the sack, and he got his leg twisted up underneath him. You never really want to see an opposing player get hurt, but when it's ordained by God, that's just how it goes. All praise to He above. Amen." Like, damn. But, that's essentially what they're saying when they want to give all credit for their victory to their Lord and Savior. They're also saying, "I like to give credit to my God for smiting the other team and causing them to fail to reach the playoffs yet again. They are just cursed by my Lord and Savior." That'd be funny. I would get a kick out of that. I'm sure there's a comedy skit of that somewhere. Somebody's done that, I'm sure. It sounds like it's either a Louis C.K. or maybe what's that other dumpy white guy? Not Chad. Oh hell, it'll come to me later. He's an Austin dude, I think. New York guy gone south, maybe a Southern guy gone north. SNL, kicked off SNL. Teely. Damn it. Big tall. He's doing NFL commercials now. Bud Light commercials, rather. Big, tall, dumpy white guy. I'm sure it'll come to me about 10 minutes after I turn this off. I was doing a tasting today, joking with a customer, and the little bastard went and ran to the manager and cried about it. I joke with the customers all the time. He was joking with me. "Oh yeah, the guy said that I'm not a good person because I don't like rye." I didn't say that, you fucking idiot. And you may not be. You're not a good person because you're bitching and crying to the manager over a joke that we were both laughing about. Little bitch. That's going to get me demonetized. Can't say bitch. But, in context, it's correct. Whew. Halfway there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Exactly halfway there with 2 in the middle. Oh. It feels like I've got sinus pressure, but in the back of my head. Ugh. I hate these headaches. It's like positional headaches. Like I slept wrong or something. I've got a bunch of fluid in the back of my neck. Or I'm holding my neck in the wrong position for too long. Let's close this gap up a little bit. Get these older bottles back where they belong. Saturday night's a terrible night for streaming. It's a terrible night for working, too. I shouldn't even be working tonight. Or if I am, I should have the distillery open. People should be here helping me. But this really isn't a big enough project to have people, like, help, you know? It's not a big enough job. It's just 10 cases. It's not even 10. It's more like 9. Who's here? Maddie B. Fishing. What's up, Maddie? Welcome to the party. How has things been going? I assume you've been fishing. It's kind of cold for fishing. But I guess this is when ice fishing, I suppose, is done when it's freezing up north in Wisconsin or someplace where it freezes for 6 or 8 months out of the year. I personally love the cold weather. I don't really like it when it's freezing and snowy and nasty and horrible, but I like it when it's in the 40s and 50s, especially the 50s. The 50s are just a sweet spot. It's not too hot, not too cold. You can go without a long sleeve shirt and break a sweat. Hell, you could probably even get away with shorts in 50-degree weather if it's sunny. But when it gets down to the 40s, that's when my Texas blood starts to not really like it. I don't mind the heat. I'd rather not, because you can only take off so many layers of clothes to cool down. But when it gets into the 60s are fine. 70s are nice and comfy. The 50s, 60s, 70s. That's probably the sweet spot for human existence in general. You get down below 50, it starts getting cold. You get up above 80, it starts getting hot. I can be comfortable in the 90s as long as it's not like too humid. But I don't want it to be at night. I don't want it to be in the 80s. In the 80s at night, that means it's going to be hot in the next day. It's going to be in the hundreds the next day, and that's no fun. Nobody likes it in the hundreds. Anybody who says they do is a liar. Excuse me. Oh, yeah, I like it when it's fucking boiling outside. No, you don't. Nobody likes it when it's in the hundreds. People die in Chicago when it gets in the 90s because they're in their apartments wearing their tracksuits. They don't have enough goddamn sense to open a window or go outside and get in the shade. And they're just like, I'm just going to sit here and boil to death. Bears. I don't know how Chicago people talk. But they end everything with the Bears, right? I think I may be getting out of frame. Shift you down just a little bit. So in just a few short minutes, all of these are going to be, I may box them up tonight. I may not. What time is it? 7:45? I'm going to go till about 9:45. If I can get to the point of boxing it up, that'll be fine. If I can't, I'm not going to worry about it because I can always come back tomorrow and spend an hour and box everything up. I need to get the box labels anyway. And that's just a quick trip to the Home Depot or Office Depot. Do a quick print job. They're not open tonight, obviously. but my flight leaves at 9 in the morning on Monday, so I'm not going to have time on Monday to do anything except probably pack, but I'll probably be packed up Sunday, tomorrow night. So this show that I'm going to do, this startup accelerator that I'm going to do, I also need to package up a couple of boxes to ship, one overseas and one to Florida. It's called Beta Blocks, or the TV show variety is The Blocks. And I will forever be a Blockser going forward. Whoops. Melted. It's okay. And a part of this weird community of people. Who's that? Paul Duncat. What's up, my man? It's snowing in Chica. What's Chica? Boca Chica? Florida? Where George Costanza's parents are? Boca Chica! Or is that Chicago? Chica. Chicago. The AGO or GO was covered up. Sierra Boca Chica. What does Sierra mean in Spanish? I have to look that up. There's Sierra Nevada Mountains, Sierra Blanca. It sounds like Sierra should mean something like view. I don't know. Hey, Siri, what does Sierra mean in Spanish? Well, Siri's not listening. It's fine. Boca Chica, Rancho Nuevo Resorts. Vienna Beef Town. What questions y'all got? Anything? I said earlier that Superman would be a better villain than Batman because Superman's basically the only weakness Superman has is gullibility. He's a sucker for people who are like, "Oh, Superman, I need help," and then he goes and helps, and then they stab him with a kryptonite knife. That's the only way you can hurt Superman is to stab him with something made out of kryptonite, and the only way you can do that is by him being a gullible dumbass and getting tricked into getting close enough to you for you to stab him with a knife. He's clearly not smart enough to be able to avoid getting stabbed by a knife, something that most people do their entire life. They go their whole life without getting stabbed by a knife. But Superman, near as I can tell, according to the movies, has been stabbed like 4 times, if memory serves. But one of those times was as Clark Kent without powers. And that was like in Superman 2, if I'm not mistaken. I think he got stabbed in that one. Maybe he just got the hell beat out of him. I can't really remember. But for a super capable alien who can destroy humanity within an hour by just flying through every single power plant on Earth and sending humanity back into the Stone Ages, we would regress 600 years if he did that. Back into the 1400s, we would literally be in medieval Europe if Superman just decided, y'all don't get electricity anymore, and he just went and blew up all the power plants. Crime now, motherfuckers, is what he'd be yelling the whole time as he flies through all of the power plants in the world. Take that. Crime now. Behave yourselves. Just showing off some double oak rye to the spouse you have in a Japanese teacup, pinky out. Ooh, pinky out. Aren't you fancy? Nice. All right, so I'm going to go through the process of doing the back labels first and then the front labels because it's easy. I find it easier just to do one than the other. Instead of, or all of one and then the other, instead of one then the other, then one then the other, continuously going back and forth between the labels. But that's my process. At home, do it however you wish. Yeah. Truth, justice, and the American way. Like, Superman was definitely not a savior for Earth. He was very much an American icon. But you know, in a broader topic, in a broader sense, that shows a very stark difference of the American attitude of the 50s and 60s to the American attitude we have today. In the 50s and 60s, we embraced this idea, this ideal, that America was an exportable commodity. The ideal of America, the idea of America was exportable. We wanted everyone to live in a free world, that the world would be free, that the world would be led by democratic governance, that the world would embrace human rights, that the world would that everybody in the world would enjoy freedom of speech, freedom of religion, freedom to gather, freedom from search and seizure, freedom, unreasonable search and seizure, unwarranted search and seizures, that the people of the world would be free to live their lives. That's what we believed in the 40s and 50s when Superman came about. And a statement like truth, justice, in the American way made sense to us because we wanted everybody to, live in a world that was like that. That was what we believed as a people, as America. That was an American ideal. That the American ideal was that the American ideal could be shared around the world, and not as the dominion of the United States, but that people of all races, all creeds, all nationalities in your nation could enjoy the same liberties as the people of the United States. That was our idea. That was our ideal. That was what we strove for in our foreign policy, in our domestic policy, that we would live up to the idea that all men are created equal. That we hold those truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal and endowed with certain unalienable rights that cannot be taken away and should not be taken away by government. And in fact, government should be established in order to protect those rights. That's why our government exists, to protect those rights. And those rights were not merely enumerated in the Constitution. Those rights were identified in the Constitution. And the only reason those rights had to be identified in the Constitution was because they were rights that that had been at some point taken away by a government. If your rights are not being infringed upon, they don't have to be protected. Which is why it's pretty notable that there's nowhere in the Constitution that gives white men the right to vote. There's things giving women the right to vote, minorities the right to vote. And it's assumed when they say equal protection under the law that it would be the equal protection that white men receive. But they don't have to. They don't say it. They don't have to say it, right? Ever wonder that? Ever wonder why they don't come out and say it? Because they don't have to. That's that. That's that sneaky little thing that goes into our laws. That was what was it called? What was it called? They're not allowed to teach it. I can't remember what it was called. You know, because it was so very important that we get it out of our school systems, even though it never really was in our school systems. But yeah, anyway. What was I talking about? Oh yeah, that was the ideal that we had: truth, justice, and the American way. That all men would believe this. And now we have people who say, within the last 6 months, mind you, human people that I've spoken to say things like, if you're an immigrant, you do not get you do not have constitutional protections if you're an immigrant. If you're an illegal alien, you do not have constitutional protections. You don't have any rights. Excuse me? At what point did all men are created equal and have unalienable rights cease to include all people? When did all people become just citizens of the United States? Never is the answer to the question. Never did that happen. We just stopped believing it as a people. At some point in the last, I don't know, 50 or 60 years, we stopped believing it and started saying things like, oh, well, some people just aren't, some countries just aren't ready for democracy. And that may be true. Like, they don't have the institutions and the history that make them, quote unquote, ready for democracy. They're not, they don't have the traditions and institutions that allow for a rigorous democratic experiment the way we did when we started our democratic experiment. I mean, democracy doesn't exist in a vacuum. Like, there are things that ensure that it works, and there are things that we do as a people that ensure that it works. Having, community associations, cities, counties, state government, working your way all the way up in a federal system, that is very, very helpful in creating a durable democracy. Because what it does is it creates the habits early. Your local school board elections, your local student body elections, even. We're raised with the idea that this stuff, that's how you get stuff done. That's how you organize people. After the fall of communism, we lost a common enemy for unifying, so we turned on ourselves with populism and lost our way. You're not entirely wrong. It took a while to do it, but this notion of having a common enemy is not foreign. It's very real. That unifying idea of having a common enemy, and for a long time, for 30 years, our common enemy was communism. That was the thing that, but that was only part of the story. We identified ourselves in part as anti-communism, but also as pro-freedom. We didn't have Kennedy standing at the gate of Berlin saying "Don't be communist," we had Kennedy standing at the gate of Berlin saying all men deserve to breathe free. It might have been into the 80s that we lost a little bit of that thread of we are different than they, and leaning on our ideals as a nation, as a people, and more about being pure anti-communist. I know that the McCarthy era was pure anti-communist, but in the 1950s we still had not just anti-communist, but also, the American ideal, exporting the American ideal of movies and Coca-Cola and blue jeans and all that other stuff. Exporting the ideals of America, the culture of America, our books, our movies, our plays, and all of that stuff was endowed with and imbued with the American ideal. Hard work, the American dream, building a house, buying a house, growing wealth, handing it down to your family, creating generational prosperity. There was even a period of time in American history where we believed that stuff should be extended to all Americans, even women and minorities. That we believed that every American should be included in that ideal. And that's why, we have the civil rights legislation. That's why we have the stuff we have. That's how we got where we got. That's how we are who we are. But it just seems that we don't universally believe that nearly as much as we used to. And when we say dumb things about taking over Canada, it doesn't feel like we want to extend the American ideal to Canada. It sounds like we want to conquer the world. Because I assure you, Canada does not want what we're selling. They have their laws, they have their perks, and we want them. There is not a chance in hell that we take over Canada and say, hey, that national health insurance you have, here's Cigna. And they're going to be all like, oh, yeah, great, that's fantastic, you super. Like, they would get their fucking hockey sticks and pitchforks and come after us. And rightfully so. Populism is a dangerous, dangerous drug. And we've done it before in the past. Teddy Roosevelt ran a populist campaign. It's part of how I think that's how Woodrow Wilson became president. Wilson wasn't particularly popular, but Teddy Roosevelt's populist campaign blocked the other Republican from gaining enough votes, and Woodrow Wilson successfully became president. I think that was the year that Wilson became president. No, I don't know. I'm just a humble whiskey guy from East Texas, but it just seems that there ought to be a better way of doing things than what we're doing. It seems that we're not the same people we were 40 years ago. We're not the same country we were 50 years ago, even. Yeah, I see especially with the Carter, President Carter's retrospectives and eulogies and such. We were tough. Well, I won't say we were tougher people. I'll say we believed in things. And we believed that those things should be shared with the world. We believed that our way of life was right. We believe that our way of thinking was righteous, that all men are free, that all men deserve to be free, and that if given a choice, men would choose freedom over bondage. And they should have a right to choose their government, that governments derive the authority from the people. The people do not derive their right of existence from the governments. That's what we used to believe. We even wrote it down on pieces of paper and voted on it and said, yes, we agree that we believe that. J. Edgar Hoover with unchecked power. Yeah, the FBI. That's why the FBI does not answer to the president. One of the many reasons why the FBI doesn't answer the president. J. Edgar Hoover was the FBI was very much a terrorist organization for many, many, many years. And that just goes to show we don't always live up to our ideals. We don't always live up to our ideas and ideals, but we agreed that they were our ideals. We at least agreed on the premise, even if we disagreed with how to carry it out or what carrying it out looked like, I suppose. We at least agreed on the premise. And we felt in our core that in a legitimate battle of ideals, our ideals would win. Of course, the communists believe that too. But to be completely fair, their ideals weren't far off from our ideals. Their way of governance was far off from our ideals. The way they carried it out was far off from our ideals. And a lot of the beef with communists from the 40s and 50s was a bit of a proto-fascistic beef, because fascists hate communists. So that's a whole nother thing. But McCarthy was a bit of a proto-fascist. But regardless, in the communist world, all men were considered to be equal. You would receive, compensation based on that equality, that ideal. But in practice, there was a governing body that enjoyed the spoils and trappings of power. And the authoritarian nature of that governing body made it very, very hard. I mean, we wouldn't even do business with them, which says a lot for an entire country that's built on business. But when you have command and control economies, they can't work in the free market the way free market economies work together. So it's very much an economics war, more than a societal war. Because you put people together, people pretty much agree on the same things. You put governments together, governments disagree. Like, we have to have this, 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 and this. Like, okay, chief, do what you will. Governments can't work together, especially when they have very drastic differences in how currencies are supposed to operate. And governance is supposed to be, when you're setting up a global system of trade and politics and currency, finance, and all that, when you're setting up that global system, you all have to agree on how everything's going to work. And communist countries didn't agree on that. So they didn't get to play in the Bretton Woods Agreement. The that put us on a fiat currency and a free market background, etc., etc. But as far as basics goes, you know, the Soviet people and American people weren't different. I know we were raised to think that they had fangs and eat their babies and horrible, horrible monsters of people who would just destroy the world if given the chance. Bah. But really, they liked rock and roll and Coca-Cola and blue jeans. They were just normal people, just like you and me. And they had the same ideas and ideals that we have, that all men should be free, that all men are created equal, that all men are endowed with certain rights. I don't know if they agreed that government should be established to protect those rights, but that is what we believe the government should do. I'm sure there's a study somewhere talking about the proud Soviet people and their ideas and ideals and blah blah blah. If my eyes still worked as good as they used to, I'd probably read that book. Life in the Soviet Union, circa 1982 or something. But the free market is basically what destroyed communism, the economics of it. As soon as we unhitched ourselves from rational finance and just overwhelmed them with spending, I mean, geez, we created our own little inflationary bubble, and inside of that bubble, we could spend any money we wanted. And we spent them into oblivion. And then they collapsed. Not with a bang, but a whimper. It was remarkable times back in the 90s. Remarkable times. When the Soviet Union fell, that was amazing. It was absolutely amazing to watch that happen in real time. Dude. It was amazing. It was terrifying. I was camping when the coup happened, that brought Yeltsin to power in Russia. I was camping. And when I left, we had a Soviet Union. When I came back, we had Russia. I was like, what the hell? Should I go camping again? They're like, no. Stay here. We don't know what'll happen next. And had we not abandoned them, the people, Russia might still be a thriving democracy. But it wasn't the Russian people that gave up on democracy. It was Russian oligarchs, the businesses. They did not like the chaos. They needed stability. The government needed money. So they sold off businesses to people with money. The people don't want this crap. They are yearning to breathe free, just like everyone else around the globe. And for the most part, most people do not interact with their governments. Think about it. The last time you really interacted with the government here in the United States. I didn't interact with government today. I run a business in a highly regulated industry. I did not interact with the government today. I drove on roads that were built based on guidelines handed down by, but there wasn't a government agent on the road ensuring that I drive correctly. Did I pass a cop today? I did see a police officer in the parking lot of the Exxon. And I guess technically, since I bought gas at the Exxon, I did interact with the government on one level there. I paid taxes. But also, Exxon is a highly regulated company. I collected sales tax this afternoon, so maybe that counts as interacting with the government. But as far as like seeing government officials and talking to them, which is what I meant, I don't interact with the government hardly at all. And for the most part, we don't. We live our entire lives with very few interactions. We have more interactions with banks, more interactions with supermarkets, cashiers, cash registers. We have interactions with, probably most of my interactions are with somebody in the food industry. And yeah, food industry interacts with the federal government and state governments, sure. But if you want to go in a more meta sense, a broader sense, I mean, I live in a house that is built based on guidelines, housing regulations, guidelines laid down by state and federal code, building codes, so that my house doesn't collapse around me or get blown off its foundations when a hurricane comes. So technically, every time I go home, I'm interacting with my government because my government has set building guidelines. So there's that, I suppose. Handmade whiskey. Every process is hand processed, even the labeling. So I'm not trying to say that they don't have an important role, but we want them to be over the horizon, right? We want them to protect our liberties, but not watch us. And it's a fair question to ask as to whether or not they are protecting our liberties. Is having our computer save cookies and share those cookies with every website you go to protecting my liberty? Is that freedom to assemble because we're watching? Is it freedom to engage in commerce, freedom to associate with whomever I want to? I'm being watched 24/7. Is that freedom? Is that different than what it was in authoritarian regimes like China? I mean, sure, they're not preventing us from assembling. They're not preventing us from associating with whomever we want to associate with, but we're being watched. Is that okay? That's a surveillance state. Is that liberty? I think that's a fair question to ask. Is it liberty? Are our rights being protected by our government that allows corporations to watch our every move, listen in on us when we're having private conversations with the Alexa device, so that Alexa can tell us when the next when there's a discount at the Ford dealership because we mentioned we might be interested in buying a Ford Ranger? Is that liberty? Is that freedom? Freedom to watch what you say because Amazon might be listening. I don't know. I don't know if that counts as freedom. It doesn't feel like freedom. It doesn't feel like our government has been established or is continuing to do what it was established for: preserve our rights, protect our liberties, and pass down the ensure the gains of our liberty to our progeny, the benefits thereof to our progeny. Hey, that's what it says in our founding documents. That's what it says we believe. All right. That is super filthy. Why are you so filthy? Bring this back over here. What are we looking? Good. Anyway, that's what's on my mind. I don't know. I get to think about a lot of stuff over the next week. I'm going to be in a lot of classes, business accelerator classes, figuring out how to turn the cranks and get my whiskey into new markets and in front of new eyeballs. Have a feeling I'm doing everything wrong, that my YouTube channel is not helping as much as it used to. Social media is not helping as much as it used to. And then there's a different way to do it. A better way to do it. This isn't 2019 anymore. I don't know what happened to my pocket knife. I think it might be on my office desk, but I don't want to go look. I've only had 2 mistakes as far as the label being put on crooked or noticeably crooked so that I wasn't satisfied. Truth, justice, and the American way. I'm not even sure the American way even includes truth and justice anymore. Just hand wave and give a pass to felonies and criminality. We're just okay with that now, I suppose. I suppose. It's sad. Disappointing. I'm not mad, I'm just disappointed. Is there a more dad thing to say? I'm not mad at you, I'm just disappointed. You could do better. Come on, America. I just hate to think what the history books will say about this era. In 40 years. What my kids' kids will read about this era. Because that's about when their kids will be getting, let's see here. They start having kids in about 5 years. Then 10 years from now, they'll be in school. And 10 years after that, They'll be entering high school, finishing high school. Yeah, they'll be in the middle part of high school, 10th grade, as a matter of fact. So that'll be 20 years from now. So I guess it's my kids' grandkids, what they'll read about this era in their books, in their history books. The controversial elections of 2020, 2016, 2020, and 2024. The post-Obama era. I hope they call it the post-Obama era. That'd be so fucking awesome. Hope they don't. If they call it the Trump era, that would be like acknowledging him. If they call it the post-Obama era, it's like this whole time period after Obama was presidency. Like his presidency was more important. That'd be funny. Some of these bottles, it looks like the whiskey spilled over the bottle. So it looks a little like dirty. Okay. What time is it? 8:25. That means I've been going for almost 2 hours. And I'm good with wrapping it up. The boxing can happen tomorrow because I still have to get the box labels. So this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. 1, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. That's 8 cases. This would be the 9th case, and the 10th one is sitting on the floor over there. So I've got 10 cases ready for the distributor, or I will have 10 cases ready for the distributor as soon as I box them up. Not bad for a couple hours worth of work. I guess I can go ahead and box them up. Nothing's really stopping me. Y'all can see the whole process from beginning to end. From bottling, the only thing I didn't do tonight was actually do the distillation. But the distillation was done 2 years ago, so, you know, tough shit. All right, let me get to the boxes. They're in here in my office. I'll be right back. Talk amongst yourselves. Do 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 do. I'll take that box too. Just relabel it. I'll take these. Oh man, I might get demonetized using the Jeopardy theme song there. You can't use that one. We own it. You want to use an iconic sound like that one? You're gonna have to pay, mister. Ooh. Because people come here to hear. That's why y'all are here. Y'all are here to hear me cover the Jeopardy song. So, you know, if I make those noises, I have to pay. I'm pretty sure in the history of the world, nobody has ever shown up to a concert or a venue and said, play the Jeopardy theme, and requested it. I'm sure it's, well, okay, I take that back. I'm sure it's happened. I doubt it was serious. The licensing companies don't understand. how people consume music. What's this? What? Are you talking to yourself? Big money spent their way to regulatory capture. That is correct. Good evening and take care. So how about them Bears? Polar. Did the Bears play today? Were they also today? That's a 5-year straight whiskey box. This is a double oak straight rye box. These boxes are in pretty good shape. This box is blank. This box is a double oak straight rye whiskey box. Cool. Okay, so I've got 1, 2, 3, 4. And I've got 9 here, so I need 5 more boxes. 5 more boxes. Do. Ass cap can kiss my ass. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And it's not that I don't have a problem, or it's not that I have a problem, rather, making sure artists get paid for their work. Artists should get paid for their work. My problem is that the licensing companies do not pay the artists for their work. Because I've played an artist's work with permission from the artist, and then ASCAP has come back and said, or BMI, one of those guys, has come back and said, you need to pay us for that artist's work. I'm like, no, I don't need to pay you for the artist's work, because the artist told me that I am okay, that the artist told me that I can pay for the work. And so the artist doesn't own that work. We own it. And we license it out. We decide who gets to use it. And I was like, okay, fine, I won't use it anymore. It was him playing it. I think he should be able to decide who plays his music, right? Since he's the one playing it. And then they got off my ass when they realized that he was the person who made the music, who was playing the music. But man, when they get a burr up their ass, rather, they can be pretty pissy. But a good cease and desist letter works almost every time. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And one more makes 9. I brought one too many boxes. And 10, the 10th one is on the pallet already. All right. Let's box up some whiskey, shall we, kids? What do you say? Sound like fun? Yes, Mr. Old Humble Guy. That sounds like fun. Ha ha ha. Oh, talk amongst yourself. Paul, very good. Thank you. Sometimes I just don't even know what I'm doing. I don't even listen to my own words. I tune myself out a lot because I talk a lot. Y'all said talk amongst yourselves like I'm more than one person. I'm fat as 2 people, but I'm not physically 2 people. My wife is making birria beef tacos tonight. We have like a whole pork butt in the freezer, in the fridge, that I cooked up the other day, smoked up, cooked up. It's a good one. It was yummy. But my smoker didn't get hot enough, so we had to transfer it from the smoker to the oven. And it cooked in the oven, but I don't think it cooked enough because it wasn't like, fall apart tender. It was peel apart tender, but not fall apart tender. So, live and learn, I guess, but this is the final stage of the bottling process. It's the putting everything away process, getting the bottles into the box so that it can ship to the distributor. And I've had my complaints about distributors in general, but I gotta say, it's nice to have them. I don't mind working inside of the 3-tier system, mostly because I'm sure the stores like working inside of the 3-tier system too, mostly because the headache, the challenge of having to deal with 100 distilleries to stock your store would suck, I would think. That's why, you know, grocery stores work with Procter & Gamble or a supplier that handles Procter & Gamble and a bunch of other products. That's why Procter & Gamble went and bought a bunch of products, because it's just easier that way. You know, to have one company supply 100 products. Yeah, inefficient it would be if our supermarkets were supplied by 50, 100 different stores instead of, well, I mean, you know, you go down the soft drink aisle and it's like 6 soft drink companies, right? And their distributor that provides the drinks. Or you go down the cereal aisle and it's like 6 companies. But just think, if every single one of those labels, every single one of those brands was a different company. Like if we didn't have a 3-tier system, I would be scrambling to get bought by one of the major manufacturers so that I could get shelf space alongside the major manufacturers. But as it is, I work with a distributor that gets me that shelf space. If I self-distributed, I wouldn't be able to get into stores at all. Because why would it, you know, a store would have to open up a separate account on their ledger. They open up a separate payment structure, a separate payment vendor. It's hard enough getting them to add a new distributor to their mix. If they don't already work with my distributor, it's almost impossible to get them to add a new distributor. But if they, if they already work with my distributor, it's just another SKU to add into their system from my distributor to get set up in their system. No problem. They're working, instead of working with another one of several thousand producers and suppliers, they're working with one of 8 suppliers or 9 suppliers, however many suppliers they need to use. You know, in a complicated store like Specs or Total Wine, they've got liquor, beer, wine, but a lot of those liquor, beer, wine guys all go through the same distributor. So the 3-tier system is a pain in the ass sometimes, but it's also super helpful in getting into retail package stores, because those retail package stores are the ones that have the biggest variety, and they have that big variety because they can work with large distributors who provide a much needed service. So sometimes working with distributors is a big pain in the ass. Like, could I cut out the middleman and save, keep a significant portion of the margin that I give up by working through a distributor? Yes, I could. I absolutely could. I could cut out the middleman and probably keep 50% of what I sell my whiskey at. 50% more than what I sell my whiskey at. Sell it for a 50% higher markup. But I would have access to far fewer retailers. That would suck. So I'm glad I do it the way. I'm glad we do it the way we do it. The government. There's the other model with the government the government warehouse. I don't know how that works because I don't distribute to those states yet. But maybe next year. Because if I'm not mistaken, Louisiana is a government warehouse state. And maybe we'll be in Louisiana next year. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, brothers and sisters, children of all ages, we're done. 9 cases. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 cases plus 1 over there. That makes 10. That's my order ready for next week. They should come and pick it up Tuesday or Wednesday. Be in stores by Thursday or Friday. Pay close attention. You'll be able to find it all across the Houston area in Spec stores near you. I have been, and will continue to be the Old Humble guy. We're going to switch to picture-in-picture so you can see my beautiful face right here on the screen somewhere. There's my beautiful face right there on the screen, fully equipped with lens flare. Boom. Be awesome to each other. I will see you next time, probably in a couple of weeks. We'll do some stuff. How's that sound? Cheers. Have a great night. Bye-bye.